Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and well, today we're going to be doing a video pretty much just, frankly, the best way to put this is we're just going to be talking about why the Dino Dan Wiki very much sucks. It's not very good. Frankly, again, there are some good things about it, which we'll go over that too, but most of it is actually pretty bad, and it's probably one of the worst wiki fandoms I've seen, so, yeah, for starting off, it's called the Dino Dan Wiki, which I feel it should technically be called the Dino Kids Wiki since that is what the franchise is called, though I will not completely fault them on that since I feel like, at the very least, most people are more familiar with the original series Dino Dan, so I can understand that's why they called the wiki and named it after that. But still, I think it should technically be called Dino Kids Wiki, but I'm not going to completely fault them for that, and that's not even one of my big points or anything. Starting off with an actual good page, the Dino Dana Dino Field Guide. This page, I haven't took like a super deep look at it, but just looking at it, it generally, all the information is good. It has some decent information, tells you where all the creatures are from, and generally tells you enough information about them. Trivia section's pretty good. This is just like a good page. But if we were to go over to Dino Dex, for example, I also wanted to take some time to take a lot of myths on here that are just completely false information I want to talk about and explain why they're stupid. The Dino Dex page is fine enough, though if we go down to Season 2, there is absolutely no information on Season 2, really. We don't have a release date. We don't even have confirmation that Season 2 is in production or anything. And really, we don't have anything for it. Though, apparently there is a list of species that I have seen go around a little bit, and I don't want to point fingers, but I think I may know who may have started this. Though, again, if there is any information on Season 2, please let me know. Because if I'm wrong, I will make an update video talking about how I was wrong. But I have not seen a single piece of information. I did hear from someone, which from what I've seen is a very untrustworthy source, and they'll just make up stuff all the time and not say that it's fake in the slightest. They did say that apparently these were confirmed on the Dino Kids official Facebook, if I remember correctly, but apparently on the Brazilian version, which I don't know if they even have that, but yeah, just checking the actual Dino Kids official Facebook, they do not have it there, or really on any of their social media. There's no confirmation of a Season 2, let alone really confirmation for any species. Apparently they were like revealed through like guess what species they're supposed to be, which they barely showed off the Dino Dex species. In fact, I feel like they've just barely kind of showed off most of the Dino Dex species, and even then I don't think they really showed them all off. They definitely have not started showing off species for Season 2. And if anything, Season 2 will probably not have much information if we're going based off Season 1, which they barely had any information about when releasing. But, yeah, again, there's no information on these in the slightest. But Dimetrodon, well, they say that it's an unnamed synapsid or Dimetrodon. I think the person I saw did say it was either Dimetrodon or Technodontosaurus. Either one of those are just wrong. Novoraptorid, also completely wrong. Stegosaurus, they actually said it was a different Pachycephalus, or there's actually a dubious genus, can't remember what it was, but like, again, there's no confirmation for this. Pteranodon or Geostembergia, no confirmation. Pelecanomimus, also no confirmation. Nasutoceratops or Zuniceratops, also no confirmation. Then there's also Dicraeosaurus or Apatosaurus, no confirmation, though I do want to admit that I feel like I said something about Dicraeosaurus or Apatosaurus possibly being in the series at some point, but anyway, that's not really important. There's really no confirmation for it. A Tyrannosaur, Displetosaurus, or Tarbosaurus, no information or confirmation for that. A Therizinosaur, or Lycosaurus, or Segnosaurus, no information. And a Pterosaur, possibly Thanos Dragon, or a Lanqua, both no information. There's literally no confirmation of any of these species, and from what I can find, these are all just made up completely. I don't know who put them on here, but yeah, again, these are just completely false. And also, just a few of them, for example, if we're following the trend of the Dino Dana activity guide species getting added in, which they have been kind of doing so far, wouldn't it make more sense for it to be Suhausaurus for the Therizinosaur? It's about the same size, and, well, again, it was in there. And for some of these other ones, I feel you could definitely change around with Dino Dana field guide species. And again, there's just no confirmation for any of these species. Honestly, don't know why most of these I feel would be a little bit redundant to add unless they're just completely swapping the roster. There's no redesigns mentioned, and again, there's just no sources, which is a common trend for the Dino Dan Wiki. Even for stuff that is true, there's some of them that just have no sources. Anyways, we're going to go over here. This creature has nothing to do with the Dino Kids franchise. Why is it on the Dino Dan Wiki, you may say? Who knows? Dino Dana Live. I actually made 2 videos covering this, which I set those to unlisted because, again, I don't really want to even have this out here on the internet, even thinking that anyone getting fooled that it's true. And I will leave like end cards or links to them in the description. So if you really do want to watch those, 'cause I know some people did still just want to watch the videos, I will link them. But I do want to mention Dino Dana Live does not exist, and there is absolutely no confirmation or really any evidence pointing towards it. And also, just its existence makes no sense. Not only does it have a ton of new species that would have brand new models that are never used again, which, to be fair, we haven't used any of the Dino Dana, the movie models, and Dino Dex, but coming back around to that, it just doesn't make any sense. The release date for this film, they state came out like, I think this would have released between season 2 and 3 or season 3 and 4. Can't remember exactly when it says, but actually, October. Okay, yeah, it says release 2018. So this would have been early on in the series, probably either right after season 2 or between season 1 and season 2. Actually, I believe this would probably be right after season 2. And that makes absolutely no sense that they would go in production making an entirely new film, which they do mention that Dino Dana Live was basically just a film played at a live event. But it was like a live event, but the actual event was basically just a film they were playing. And it would make no sense that they would go through making tons of new species for it and then just have it in this event only. Especially since this is so early on, they would have reused many of these creatures. Actually, not even most of them, tons of them would have been reused. And there's a ton of new species in here that are listed that just don't appear in the franchise at all, or just as very minor creatures that are not actually in the show. So why would they actually go through the effort of making them and then never use these creatures again? Another thing, why would they go to the effort of making a movie this long? Like, they actually do state how long. 2 hours and 89 minutes for the entire film. And that length is longer than the actual Dino Dana the movie. And that one was supposed to get a theatrical release, though. Because of COVID, it didn't. And instead, it released on Prime Video and, of course, in some museums. Which, why would they spend more effort and money making a movie for live events that they did not market in the slightest and just, again, were very exclusive, only being able to be seen in some places? But they didn't do the same for a movie, for the Dino Dana the movie. Dino Dana the movie had way less species, and again, realistically, probably would have had a way smaller production budget than this, and it actually had a wider release, being on Prime Video, and again, was originally supposed to have a theatrical release, so we know what they would have done for a theatrical release. And again, Dino Dana the movie was really warranted since the franchise was doing very well, and this was at the very end. This was the finale for Dino Dana. It released after season 4, so it was basically the last thing we got for that. So it doesn't make any sense that we would get that this film would even exist. Like, why would it? Especially to put so much money into it when they could have just used that for more seasons or even towards the actual film. Again, this is like, of course you could make some arguments, because, for example, Dinosaur King got a movie, and it only released in very few planetariums in Japan, but there's actual evidence for it. There's not much marketing for it, but there was marketing for it. And that came out years upon years ago. This would have come out pretty recently, and there's no marketing for it on their social media or anything. Even Dino Dex, despite it having very little marketing, we like to joke around about how much it barely got any marketing, it still was marketed at least somewhat. There was still evidence of it, but this has absolutely zero evidence. It just makes no sense that they would do this. So, yeah, Dino Dana Live doesn't exist, but again, I'll link the videos that I made 2 videos on this, because, again, an untrustworthy source, before I realized he is so untrustworthy, I actually did listen to him and actually made 2 videos on it, but I set them as block. I didn't want to support this myth in the slightest. But anyways, unspecified sauropod in Dino Dana, the, Sky High experience. You may be wondering what the heck is this, but we'll get to that in a second. Again, a sauropod, apparently a reuse of the Footolonchosaurus model. That's never specified what it is. Again, this creature we'll get into more. Honestly, there's not much about it, but don't know why I even had this separately when I could just go to the Dino Dana Sky High experience. Basically, this event, same person that tried to get me to make the videos for Dino Dana Live were also trying to get me to do a video on this, but of course I didn't do it. But yeah, this, again, is another event that just isn't real. I guess, again, it's not really an actual event. It was apparently some sort of, like, exclusive thing on Apple TV, which, if you search it up, you literally will find it nowhere. Not on Apple TV, not online, anywhere. No marketing for it. Nothing on actual Apple TV. Absolutely nothing. And again, why would they make so many new creatures for this? Because I think there are a few new creatures, though not a lot. Most of them are just recolors of other creatures, but still. Kind of random, never brought up, and also just doesn't make sense canonically, really. Don't know why the heck it would be here. But, hey, it is. And again, there's no evidence of it actually existing, so this is another fake thing just on the wiki. Which, honestly, if you're making a wiki fandom, there really shouldn't just be complete false information without at the very least specifying that all this stuff is fake. And there's no indication of this being fake anywhere. So yeah, again, Dino Dana, the Sky High experience, just does not exist. Why the heck is this on the wiki? Next, we have Megalosaurus the First, another thing that they said was an exclusive. They completely say that this was a basically DVD special for Dino Dan Trek's Adventure, which again, why would they make a whole entire special for a DVD and never reuse any of the creatures that are new and exclusive to this event? Doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? And they also say that there's a whole entire behind the scenes DVD with the creator kind of talking about the show and talking about many different things about it. And again, it just doesn't make any sense. There is no evidence of this. There's no evidence from marketing, which again, would actually exist. And again, there's no evidence of the actual DVD. You can look everywhere and you'll find nothing. The only thing on here that gives us any clue to what this is on the top. It says, basically, it says that this was featured, and then it just has the word fake. Which if you click that link, I have it opened over here. It has two events, Megalosaurus the First and Dino Dana inside the prehistoric world. Another event that does not exist. They don't have any specifications. This is just kind of talking about the wiki fandom in general. There's no information about this page. It just says fake. So that's just very random. At least they specify somewhere that this Megalosaurus thing is fake, but they don't really say anything on it about the page. It's just one very small link that's very easy to miss, and they never mention that it's fake anywhere else. Next, we have Dino Dana inside this prehistoric world, another event from the fake page. Again, just doesn't exist. I haven't even read through this one, at least the Megalosaurus one I read through a while ago, because someone suggested me to look into it, but this one, nothing. Not a single thing in Dino Dana inside the prehistoric world. Again, another thing that I looked into, and there is just no evidence of this existing. They don't have a runtime or anything, but they do say that actually, I forgot to mention that this is actually supposed to be a game, which they also don't mention anywhere, though they market their games pretty decently all over their actual merchandise. And again, it makes no sense that this came out. It apparently came out alongside the movie, which there's no evidence of that. The only game that came out alongside the movie was the, I believe it was, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it's another AR app that kind of released, and pretty much you could scan like marks, and you could pretty much do like fake dig sites with prehistoric creatures. And then of course there's also like the Dino Player or whatever it was called, where you could pretty much put in codes for the Safari toys. So again, there's no evidence of this event actually existing, and those were the only actual apps marketed. And those apps were marketed, and you can find them online relatively easily. This, nothing. Wiki page is the only thing where it exists, and again, a bunch of brand new species. So who knows? Why is this in here? Another fake thing on the wiki. And just to finish us off, if it wasn't clear enough how bad this wiki is, here's just the list of species, which I do want to mention. Maybe if we run past it, I'll talk about it. But yeah, I remember back when I first made my all creatures from the Dino Kids wiki. I went to all creatures from the Dino Kids franchise. I went onto like the wiki to actually find creatures. This is back when I first realized how bad it was. I was able to tell which ones were fake pretty easily, and there was only a few fake ones on there. And most of the creatures that were on there, the wiki was not bad back then. It wasn't as bad, at least. It was really just a big issue. If I were to click on like one of these, like let's see, let's find a good creature. There's a lot of pages. Let's just go with like a Megalosaurus or something. Has a bunch of information about the creature, but it doesn't have any information about the creature in the show. Just generic Amargasaurus facts and information about the animal. Nothing about it in the actual show, which is ridiculous. And that was really an issue I was running into. They don't say where the creatures are from, so some more obscure creatures like those random shark and bird that appeared in the 1-2D episode, they just don't have any information about what it is or where it came from, so I had no idea where that came from or if it was even real. So again, that's a big issue, but if we were to look through these species, they're just like pretty much all fake. Acrocanthosaurus doesn't appear anything. This prehistoric camel doesn't appear. Alamosaurus doesn't appear. Albertonectes is a real creature. Albertosaurus is a real creature in the show. Allosaurus has a 2D design. Amargasaurus appears in the show. Agmedalodon appears in the show. Calicotherium doesn't appear in the show. This Andrewsarchus never appears in the show. And Kylosaurus does appear. Apatosaurus, real. Aqualops. I'm not going to go through all the real ones because it's going to take forever. Argodus, arguably, possibly because of its appearance as bear in Dino Dana VR. Dino Dan Dino Cam. But if we were to look at this, it doesn't say anything about this. It just has a picture of a random bear. That's another issue. Sometimes they'll just have random pictures of prehistoric creatures, even for ones that do appear in the show. they'll just have a generic prehistoric creature picture instead of a creature of it from the actual series. Argentavis, again, doesn't appear anywhere. Argentinosaurus does appear on Dino Dex, but again, if we open this up, doesn't have anything about its appearance in Dino Dex. So, why is it here? Who knows? Baryonyx, again, doesn't really appear except maybe with a 2D design, but they doesn't say it here. Balasaurus, again, I'm not going to go through it. Like, what this? I looked this up the other day. I think it's either a prehistoric macaw or at the very least it's a made-up prehistoric macaw, which is ridiculous. Why is this even on here? A lot of other creatures. Brontosaurus, I don't think really has even appeared. Calicotherium hasn't appeared. Carcharodontosaurus, I don't think has appeared either. Concavenator has not appeared anywhere. Corythosaurus is on here twice, but with different spellings. Crenopio does appear, but it doesn't have its actual proper design. Again, it's a 2D species, but yeah. Displetosaurus does not appear. Dinotherium does not appear. Dinosaurs, just in general, I'll probably look at that in a second. I don't... Actually, let me see. I don't know what's even on the dinosaur page. It just has, like, all the dinosaurs listed, except, again. And some fake ones, I think, like Lonzosaurus does not appear anywhere. Or Nomangosaurus, or Namekia, or Nemectosaurus. Sorry, I got that name wrong. I don't think that appears anywhere either. Diplodocus does appear. Diprotodon does not appear. Dodo doesn't really appear. Dromaeosaurus, of course, is an actual creature. This, not real. Edmontonia is not a creature that appears in the actual show. Umbellotherium does not appear in the show. Does not appear in the show. And just, again, if we keep on going, Fabrosaurus does not appear in the show. Gastonia doesn't appear in the show. Giant monarch butterfly isn't even really a thing, so why the heck is it even listed? Again, Heterodontosaurus doesn't appear in the show. Hyenodon and Hybotus don't appear. Iguanodon does appear with a 2D design and is like a box, but it doesn't actually have like a 3D model or anything. Jaxartosaurus doesn't appear. Cryptops doesn't appear. Lambeosaurus, again, debatably, if you want to go to the extra mile and exclude the Zool Duel game, that is probably not Dino Kids, but might be. It's kind of weird. Does have Lambeosaurus in it, and it's really kind of hard to say if it actually counts or not, but again, kind of weird. Liopleurodon does not appear. Lycanops does not appear. Zuniceratops does not appear. Eutyrannus does not appear. Xenoceratops does not appear. Woolly Rhino does not appear. Again, we have more like Ultrasaurus does not appear. Uintatherium does not appear. Tuatara does appear, actually. It does appear, but in like one random episode, and they do not show it or mention that it appears in that random episode. Again, Torosaurus, I think, has a 2D design, but that's that. The Time Traveler's Dino. What even is this? Actually, never mind. This is an episode of Dino Dan. I apologize for that, but why is it listed in with the other dinosaurs? Cypatherium does not appear. Saurolophus does not appear. Rheogosaurus does not appear. Perlovia definitely does not appear. Pteranodon doesn't really have an appearance. Platybelodon and this thing doesn't really have an appearance. Pelecomimus does have a 2D design but doesn't appear in the show. Paraceratherium does not have an appearance in the show at all. Let's see what else. Again, some other ones that have designs, like Ornithochirus and Ornithomimus do not appear, or Omanosaurus doesn't appear well. Oviraptor has a 2D design. Nigersaurus does not appear. Mosasaurus has a 2D design, but I don't know if they're going to even mention it. Yeah, they don't even have its appearance or mention it as its appearance in Dino Dex. They do not. Meropus does not appear. Megatherium does not appear anywhere. This does not appear. I don't even know what the heck this is. Let's just real fast take a quick look on Google what it is. Yeah, I don't think this is even a thing. I don't even know what the heck they're talking about there, but it does not appear. Majungasaurus does not appear. Megalosaurus does not appear, though I think they're kind of talking about the Brontotherium. Macrochenia, as much as I love you, does not appear. And then here's, again, I think the list is slightly different, but you can just take a look. I think it has pretty much all the same. Has a lot of the inaccuracies are still on here, though I think they just have a few less species, because this is like the prehistoric creatures tab, which I don't know why it's separate, even though we still have a bunch of just random stuff in here. Again, the page just is not very good. And if I can find something, like if I can find Gorgosaurus on here, yeah, if I go down to here, Gorgosaurus's page, this is like when I first realized how bad the wiki is. It literally has a description of the animal, Gorgosaurus, brightly colored with blue and yellow, blue with a yellow underbelly, and then it also mentions how it's green and has dark black markings. Look at the Gorgosaurus. This thing is bright brown. This is just brown, the whole thing, solid brown. It's brown with, maybe you could argue that the tan is kind of yellow, but this thing is basically brown with a pink mouth. How do you get green, dark, like green, blue, yellow, and black out of this design. This is not even a description of the animal. And even then, the rest of this is just generic information about Gorgosaurus. So I honestly don't even know what the heck is going on. Also, again, if we go back to the Dino Dana live, I kind of wanted to talk about this, but I forgot to show it off. Literally, here are some sources, and this is the only like live expedition I can find from the Dino Kids franchise. For Dino Dana, they basically had an event somewhat where they pretty much just had like kind of more of like a display that has Dino Dana themed, and it seems that there was some sort of film here, but from what I can find, this wasn't a completely new film. This was literally just Dino Dana the movie, and it might have been slightly different. Maybe they have like actual pauses every now and then, so there could be actual speakers or something like that. But from what I can find, this is just Dino Dana the movie. This isn't a completely different film. Also, this event was not that long ago. This was only like this was post movie though. This was like the same time or after the movie released. So this could not have been the time that they actually mentioned it. This is the only other article that kind of could possibly be it. But also, this again was after the first 2 seasons and when the time frame in which it was mentioned, and they're probably just talking about Dino Dan the movie since this came out kind of afterwards. So again, the Dino Kids Wiki or Dino Dan Wiki sucks. It's just really bad, has a lot of misinformation, and it just really isn't helpful. A majority of the parts that are actually on dinosaur, like there's a few pages on like characters I believe, and also on like again the field guide book is actually pretty good. But like if we go to like pages for like the characters and the actual shows and stuff, those are all right enough and usually have minimum misconceptions, except for like the section on season 2 of Dino Dex. That's completely wrong, or at least there's no evidence of it. Again, if there's anything in here, I'm not even trying to say this sarcastically or anything, please let me know. Comment down below, because I would like to actually know if I'm wrong here, but I have not seen any evidence. I've looked here many times and actually like looked around online and cannot find a single lick of evidence for really a lot of the misinformation. And again, this site is just not very helpful at all. If you go to the actual like dinosaur pages, again, they don't give any helpful information. Like, I don't know, let's say for example, I don't know, a Grunelok, for example. I don't know, I just wanted to pick something random. They don't really have much information. Appearances, this is probably the first time I've seen any appearances. This is like the only thing that has actually been helpful and talks about the creature, specifically how it appears in the show, but that's it. It doesn't have a list of appearances, it just has information about a Grunelok, which should be a small part of the page, and the rest of it should be about the actual creature, not just a random junk. If we go to, like, I don't know, Woolly Mammoth, let's see if this has anything. I don't know why it's not letting me click on it. Yeah, Woolly Mammoth won't let me click on it, but Xenoceratops doesn't even appear in the show. Again, just generic information, doesn't even say where it comes from. Just ridiculous. And like Kentrosaurus, there's a creature that Cosmoceratops, I guess, since it won't let me click on Kentrosaurus. Cosmoceratops, another creature. Just kind of random stuff about it. Nothing about actual Cosmoceratops, its appearances, or how it acts or looks, well, how it acts or really looks in the show. Just stuff about Cosmoceratops, which again would be fine if it was in addition with the other stuff, but alone is just pointless. Again, I recommend do not use the Dino Dan Wiki as a source. There's really no good source for the Dino Kids franchise as of now. That's kind of what I'm working on with my series, Dino Dan Dino Profiles, kind of to be a replacement for the Dino Dan Wiki and give a little bit better information, actually showing where the creatures are from and stuff. But again, I do plan on doing episodes later on talking about the series, but as of now, there's just no information. Again, the only page that I would say is even reliable is this page. This page is completely reliable for the Dino Field Guides, at least as of now. I just recommend, if you see something and it's sourced to the Dino Dan Wiki, don't trust it. It has a lot of misinformation, and even for a while, the Gorgosaurus was labeled as an Allosaurus for a long time on the Wiki. And again, I accidentally spread misinformation. I do want to admit to that. One of my videos, I did label it as an Albertosaurus back before I knew that it was actually a Gorgosaurus, and I did not find that out from the Wiki. I actually had to find that out on my own somewhere else. The Wiki just is not a good source. Again, stay away from it. Other wikis that are actually good, like I know there are some good wiki fandoms, like for example, the Dinosaur King wiki, for example, is amazing. Pretty much the best wiki fandom. I've seen the Jurassic Park wiki or Jurassic franchise wiki is also just really good. The Dino Kids wiki is just horrible. Whole thing full of misinformation. If someone didn't know much about the show and they came over to this, they would be getting tons of misinformation. Only half of it is even close to being true, and there's a bunch of random junk on it. Again, I kind of just wanted to make this video kind of explaining all my issues with it, and honestly, I could go sit here and pick the whole thing apart, and honestly, we would be here all day, but it's not really even worth it. Again, if there's if you see misinformation, just again, and anyone that's actually working on this page, can anyone have any explanation for this? I don't even know what to say anymore. The Dino Dan Wiki just sucks. I've had suggestions to actually make videos on it, and just it's just not really worth it because there's really no good information here. You're better just looking on your own. Doing like, I don't know, like 5 minutes of research will get you better information than just going to the Dino Dan Wiki. So yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. What are your thoughts on this? And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.